Alrighty, let's do it. We are looking at your Dynasty football
right,
trades on today's show. Hey, do you want your Dynasty trades to be on this weekly video series? It's actually really simple. All you got to do is use our code LAND, L-A-N-D, at flockfantasy.com/land. Sign up with that code. You'll get 30% off. Choose the Mother Flocker tier, and then you're going to unlock this trades channel, and we'll be looking at your trades this time next week. Do us a favor. Go ahead and smash that like button and comment down below a trade that you've made this week. The community is going to let you know if you got rocked or if you
the community will
won
always
the
let
trade.
You know.
They're ruthless. Yes, they are. All right, the first trade we're looking from is Hand the Man here.
Yeah.
Full PPR Dynasty Superflex start 10. So it looks like he got Jameson Williams, sent away Rashad Bateman in the 211. I've been preaching to buy Jameson Williams all offseason. Of course, I love this. I would pay this 100 times out of 100, but
Yeah. James Williams is the side here. One thing I would say though, I'm getting it's nothing to back it up. It's just more of a gut feeling. I feel like the 1 year we're gonna kind of punt Rashad Bateman is the year that he's gonna break out. And that's kind of what happens always in fantasy football, obviously. But I am taking Jameson Williams here without a doubt.
Yeah, and I guess I should state that Rashad and Jameson are both buys in my book right now. I just Jameson Williams is my guy, so I hear you.
Yeah.
Shane Anderson and the Alpha League mid to late second, he says. So he gets Christian Kirk, Trey McBride, sends away Pat Freiermuth, and a 2024 second round pick. I'm going to let you start with this one because I have a specific opinion, but I'd like to hear where you come from.
I would go Pat Freiermuth personally side in the second. I am a massive believer in Christian Kirk, but I'm not saying I'm not a believer in Trey McBride. I think I just feel more confident in Pat the Dragon in that second, wherever that's going to be, whether that's a first or a late. I'm really hoping, you hope that this is a first round or a early second, excuse me.
Sure.
And yeah, look, Christian Kirk, there's a lot of concerns with him right now in the community, not with me whatsoever, about Calvin Ridley and him losing significant amount of targets. But I think I feel more comfortable tearing up in my tight end position, depending on the depth here, with Shane and taking a chance on that 2024 second.
Yeah, this is a very close one. I don't think either side is getting screwed over here. Kirk is going to give you reliable production, but Pat Freiermuth, you could say from the tight end position, is probably pretty undervalued. I think Mason, if I'm not mistaken, had an article about this over on Flock, or maybe it was a video, I can't remember, but Pat is pretty undervalued at the moment. Kenny Pickett was ridiculously bad last year. If you look at adjusted yards per attempt, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire NFL, but he's going to continually improve. You have Pat Freiermuth, guys, who did what almost no rookie tight end ever does. And he's not even 25 yet. He's still 24 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, Pat Freiermuth, I think, is a little bit undervalued. Now, I know that this league is not tight end premium. So, to me, I think it all hinges on, and I think McBride could break out. Absolutely. I think McBride could break out. He could have a huge year. I've been talking about him based off of his current price. I think he's a value. But we know Pat has already done that. So, look, I think it's an even trade if you have depth at the tight end position and you're able to move away from Pat and add Christian Kirk as a reliable flex option. But overall, I would say I would take more shots on the Pat Freiermuth side of this. I am someone who does believe Calvin Ridley will be the alpha. And not to say that Kirk will be bad, but he's not going to have the same amount of target share that he had last year. We'll see Calvin Ridley kind of dominate, in my opinion. But also that second round pick. It's very hard to predict what sort of values there will be in a class. But what I'm hearing at the moment, based off of what Devy people are saying, is that the second round is actually much better this year. The second round next year the first round is golden. The second round has a lot of question marks. Now, take that with a grain of salt because every year people are telling you next year's better. So, don't focus too much on that. But
exactly.
Anyway, I think it's an even trade. I really do. I just think I prefer Pat by a smidge.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Pat. I mean, if you look at it in the community, he's tied in 8 right now. And Trey McBride is tied in 18. So that's a big tier up right now, just in the tight end position alone.
Yeah.
And it really is going to depend where that 24-second is going to be. And if that can, whoever that is, let's just say that is the first 6 picks in the second round, you have a good chance to get somebody decent on your squad that can replace Christian Kirk potentially, whether that's in a running back or a wide receiver.
Let's be honest. We know who Kirk is. We know who Pat is. At the end of the day, I think it actually comes down to Trey McBride.
Maybe.
Can he take that next step this year and become a top 12 tight end? Maybe with Zach Ertz being out, we'll find out. Basie Crown, Delta League, mid-early first. So it looks like he gets Travis Kelce. He sends away Zach Wilson, a second, and a mid to early first in 2024.
Okay.
I know this is not a tight end premium league, so I'll leave it in your hands here.
I think context is big here. If you're a win now team, why?
Yes, I know that.
He is a win now team. Casey is a win now team, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so I think if he's a win now team, I think that they both win. Because El Tigre, if he's trading away Travis Kelce, maybe he is pivoting to becoming more of a futuristic or trying to rebuild for the future. And I think getting a 24 first, no matter where that is, mid or late, may feel a bit weak right now. But I think that can really pay off once we really know where that is. A 25 second is in question. It's another 2 years away. And Zach Wilson right now means nothing. So that's how I'm seeing it. I think.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I think Zach Wilson means nothing as well. It's
It's not that Travis Kelce. You've been saying this. I'm kind of been leaning on it as well. It's like you have to wait until the wheels fall off with Travis, right? You either sell him now where you can still get a first, or he has that 1 year where he is tight end 5, tight end 6, and we're like, it's starting. Just get rid of him when you can if you want, or keep in the long run. So I'm okay with this trade personally.
I think what is concerning is that the context he's saying he's projecting the first that he sent away to be in early to mid. I would have much rather have used like the 111, 112 in this year's draft as the first round pick rather than sending away what I project to be in early to mid first. There's actually no question in my mind whatsoever that if that is a mid first, let's say that's the 106. Right? Worst case scenario is what he's telling us with the context, mid to early first.
Yeah.
So it could be the 101, could be the 106.
The 106 is going to be good players. I mean, if we're really projecting, let's 2 top quarterbacks, 2 top running backs at some point, you can still get 2 top wide receivers or 2 top running backs, however way your draft is flipped, right? I mean, that's exactly what happened here. You're getting JSN at the 106 this year. A running back, 3 quarterbacks, and 2 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, and maybe that it could be the same thing next year, or maybe that's you flip it around with wide receivers. So I think it's an even trade personally.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say there is, regardless of where it is in that top 6, that pick in my mind will no question be more valuable than Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
there's not a doubt in my mind. This time next year, even if Travis Kelce is the tight end 1, he's sitting at 34 and a half years old. There's no doubt in my mind that a top 6 pick in the 24 class is going to be worth a lot more than Travis Kelce. So to be honest, I think it's an overpay for Kelce based off of his age. I understand he might have had the picks to go out and make the deal, but to me, this is too much. And I actually know Tigre is a Chiefs fan. So I think Casey probably would admit that he might have overpaid a little bit here. Look, if Casey wins the championship, great. But to me, I think the more value, especially this isn't a tight end premium league, would be on the Tigre side here, where he gets a top 6 pick in 24, a 25 second, and Zach Wilson as kind of like a flyer. Wid Murder here, 12-team, 1 quarterback league, start 8 PPR. So the league trading market was crushed by some fleeced deals. So getting a deal done requires some overpaying all the time now. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
So someone got fleeced. The chat went off about it, and now everyone's scared to trade, essentially, is what he's saying. That's annoying. Okay, so it looks like it's a 3-way, and the type that, we get most excited about. We'll see. He gets Jahan Dotson, sends away a 25 first and a 25 second. It looks like the second team here sends away A.J. Brown, gets 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks.
My goodness.
And then the team at the bottom, oh my gosh, this is an overpay. I mean, gets
100%.
A.J. Brown, sends away Dotson, a first and 2 second-round picks. Now, of course, we don't know exactly where those picks are, so I guess that sort of context it would be helpful. Let's say that 24 first does end up being late. It's still tough because of how much we love Dotson. Here's what I'll say. He openly admits at the beginning that you have to overpay for players here. It's a one quarterback league, so those first round picks become maybe less attractive.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks won't push players up.
Yeah.
And it's a start 8. So as you put the pieces together, you can kind of justify why AJ Brown would cost that much.
That's what I was
in
gonna
a
say.
start 8 format.
Yeah.
How are you breaking this one down in your mind then?
That's what I was going to allude to, is a start 8-1 quarterback. So AJ Brown is a pretty big deal here. He's going to come in and be your wide receiver 1. Maybe he already had, maybe he was willing, maybe this was the move this guy needed to do to acquire AJ Brown.
Yeah.
To be, this is
it
the missing
you have
piece.
To overpay.
Yeah, you have to overpay. And especially with this context, is when he's saying you're going to overpay regardless. Maybe in reality, this is for the chip, right? With the AJ Brown team.
Sure.
And, you get Jahan Dotson. You said a 25 first. Hopefully at that time, Jahan Dotson is worth a top 6, top 7 pick. Right now he's worth at the end of the first 11, 12. Sometimes you can get it for a second if you get lucky. So I'm not too fussed about the Jahan Dotson for the first and the second, but I think AJ Brown player overpays the guy in the middle, got crazy hole, and you get Jahan Dotson.
Again, the context would be important where that 25 first ends up. But yeah, I think the more that you put it together, the more you can justify every side of this deal.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, the next trade, he says 12 team, start 10, super flex, 0.5 running back premium, 0.5 tight end premium.
Okay.
So the tight ends and running backs get 1.5 PPR points. Austin Eckler must be a god in this league. And Christian McCaffrey. He says also 6-point passing touchdown. This is a recent startup. I made a little flurry of moves, starting with Dak and Quentin Johnson, Michael Pittman. Ended up with Kyler, Marquise Brown, and 324 first is where it sits now. Curious how you see all these. Quarterbacks are Watson, Kyler, AR-15. Wide receivers are Burks, Devonta, Dotson, Hollywood, Shaheed. Okay, so the first one, he gets Geno Smith, T. Higgins, and a 24 first, sends away Dak, Johnson, and a second. As much as you love Johnson, I think you would agree that there's more value on the Higgins side.
Yeah.
Or do you disagree? Maybe.
I would say this. T. Higgins, I would want over Quentin. I think it's Dak Prescott that I would rather have over Geno Smith.
Sure.
You do lean to 24 first in this trade as well. So, yeah, I am going to be leaning Geno, T. Higgins in the first. I just would have rather kept Dak Prescott. Let me just say that. I'd rather have kept Dak Prescott.
I hear you.
But other than that, I'm okay with this trade.
The second trade that he did was getting Rashid Shaheed in a third, sends away Tank Dell in a fourth. I like that deal. I've talked about Rashid Shaheed as a buy. We like Tank too. We don't have any expectations for either of those players. So the pick swap is what's more important in my mind.
Exactly. Getting the third and getting the third instead of the fourth makes sense. You kind of go up around and okay to give away Tank. So I'm okay with that trade as well.
Next one we've got, he gets Hollywood Brown in a first, sends away T. Higgins. I mean, this is another good example of tearing down and getting draft capital for the future. As much as I love T. Higgins, assuming that's going to be, let's say, like a mid-first, we don't know how to project, his league, but that's a deal that I would consider doing for sure.
Agreed. Like that trade as well.
Especially if you're going to start building up for the future. Okay, and then this trade, he uses Geno Smith to get Kyler Murray. So Geno Smith, Rachaad White, 25 first and 25 second. Here's what I will say, Badaki. Based off of the trades I have made for Kyler Murray, he hasn't costed this much, and it's been in 6-point passing touchdown leagues. I think Kyler is worth this. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's an overpay, but this may be another league where you have to overpay. But the other deals he got, I really like.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I think Kyler's worth this. I think he's massively disrespected. I just don't think the market is asking for this based off of what I've seen. So that's a tougher one to digest there.
Exactly. I mean, getting Geno top 5 quarterback, Rachaad White, no competition in a first. Take out Rachaad White, maybe I feel more comfortable. Take out Geno Smith, maybe I feel more comfortable. Take out one of these things here, and it feels a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I would agree, he maybe have to be worth this. He may be worth this as a whole, as a quarterback, but the market is not where
Yeah.
doesn't reflect that right now. So,
Yeah.
but hey, maybe in a year from now we'll say, well, this is a steal because maybe Rashad White means nothing, like
Sure, sure.
whatever
I
the
mean, yeah,
case may
you're right.
be.
Like take out Geno Smith, this deal feels a lot better. Take out Rashad White, this deal feels a little bit better. So
Yeah,
yeah, I can hear where you're coming from, but I would say he's won at least 3 of those 4 trades
yeah,
there. So
I'm
he's
okay
done
with that.
well, and it looks like you said, he ends up with 324 firsts. He has Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, AR-15, Devonta Smith, Burks, Dotson, Hollywood, Shaheed. I mean, that's a good foundation. I think he's
Yeah,
done well
agreed.
overall. Sammy Stacks,
Sammy,
12-team Superflex PPR. He gets Najee Harris in a first, sends away Calvin Ridley, J.K. Dobbins, and a third.
okay.
And I would say he got good value. I love Ridley, love Dobbins. I've talked about him as one of my favorite breakouts this year. But I would say there's pretty good value here on the Najee Harris side.
Oh, 100%. This is kind of what I was alluding to in my video. I said sell the players at the right time. And Calvin Ridley was on that list this past week. I love Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to be great. But if you can sell him for essentially basically how I'm seeing this, Najee Harris for J.K. Dobbins, you tearing down or whatever, tearing up, however way you want to see it. And then you're getting a 24 first for Calvin Ridley. And I think that is really, really great, right? And obviously you can add the third there. So I think this is great value right now. Wherever that 24 first is, I think it helps. Remember, Calvin Ridley is 28, going to be 29 years old. And he doesn't have that security of that long contract, which I think also is very worrying to me. So I love this Najee Harris in the 24 first side.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a pro Ridley for a year and a half now. Ever since that suspension, I've been pro buying him. But there's a point where, okay, he shouldn't cost this much, and I think that's what I'm looking at here in this deal personally.
Yeah.
So I like the Najee in the first side. Big Breakfast, 10-team PPR Superflex start 11. I'm win now with great depth at wide receiver, but one and more competent running back too. Not the type of trade I usually make, and definitely not the sexiest, but I stand by it. Roast away. Okay, let's see. So he gets Brandon Cooks, James Conner. Sends away Christian Kirk. So I'll start off here. The context is important. It's a 10-team, but start 11. So start 11, you want maybe more flex options. So I think you can make a case for the Cooks and the Conner side.
Right.
Oddly enough, both Cooks and James Conner, those are 2 names that I have brought as buy lows in the veteran market in the last month. I've talked about James Conner a lot on this channel. Last year, without Kyler Murray, he was the RB3 in points per game. Finished as the RB19 overall on the year, despite missing 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. Brandon Cooks has been a production monster his entire career. Still put up on track to be the wide receiver 27 if you extrapolate his numbers from last year. Now he joins Dallas instead of one of the worst offenses in the NFL, Houston, last year. So I think you can make a case for this. What I will say is you're kind of going from a Band-Aid and Kirk. That's how I think this is a good explanation. Kirk is a Band-Aid to your roster.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And now Brandon Cooks and James Conner, they're like the threads that are barely holding on to that Band-Aid now. It's like this could work. But also it just takes one of these players to be irrelevant for you to lose the deal. So I'd say it's very, very close. But overall, I can understand why you would make this deal in a start 11.
Yeah, start 11 I think is the biggest thing here. I would still lean the Christian Kirk side. I've been a massive believer in Christian Kirk in coming into this year. Not because I'm an anti-Calvin Ridley one. I just believe that a lot of people are really leaning on Calvin a little bit too much over Christian Kirk, where we've seen that proven production from Kirk. I'm not saying we haven't seen it from Calvin. We just haven't seen it in over a year with a different quarterback, right? So I would agree. Same thing with Brandon Cooks. James Conner, I like the analogy, definitely by, the thread of the Band-Aid. I'm okay to – I would have rather kept Kirk, but I understand where you're coming from, and you're right. James Conner is out for 4 games. Damn, that sucks. Brandon Cooks is not getting the production we all thought. Damn, I wish I still had Christian Kirk, who still has that 5-year contract with Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
So no matter – how good your depth of wide receiver is. So
the reason I'm caught up so much is because I've brought both of those guys as buy lows. But yeah, you're right. I think maybe if we added a third to that side, it would have felt a little bit better. But yeah, we'll find out in season. You'll find out very quickly if you want to lose that one. And the man, last trade on today's show, 12-team Dynasty Superflex Start 10, drafted Kyler, Deshaun, Tua, and Danny Dimes. Traded Danny, the 401, and a second for the 606, Jameson Williams, and a 24 first. So this is a startup.
Okay, so trade.
Danny. So the 606 in a startup and a 2024 first sends away the 401 and a second, which ended up being Daniel Jones in a second. So essentially what we're looking at here is Jameson Williams in a 2024 first or Daniel Jones in a second. I'm okay with, I think that's an even trade personally. I think that it really is going to depend on how Jameson really performs. But and also what that 24 first is. So at the moment, I'm personally going to say it's an even trade. I'm not sure how you feel about it. Because I'm a little higher on Jameson Williams than other people. I mean, right now I think he is a little bit undervalued in the community. What is he currently ranked at today? Today he's the wide receiver 29. Yeah. He just turned 22 years old, and it's so funny with Jameson Williams. Last year, all offseason, what do we say? Have no expectations for him this year. No expectations for him this year. And now I'm seeing all over Twitter, people are saying, why did he do nothing last year? Why wasn't he involved at all last year? I'm like, how quickly do we change our minds? Which is why I say how quickly, I talk about it so often, how the market changes so quickly in season. With the context, he says he has Kyler, Deshaun, Tua, and Danny Dimes. So with that context, he still has Kyler, he still has Deshaun, he still has Tua in a super flex league. He gets a first-round pick and Jameson Williams, a player I think is undervalued right now. I'll take that side of this deal considering the context, but I don't think it's unfair in any way for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's an even trade. I think you did great. You trade away, Danny Dimes, and you still have great quarterbacks. So you get another wide receiver. So it's a good trade.
That's the type of tear down you want to do if you take advantage of quarterbacks who drop in superflex leagues. I think that's 200 IQ. So that is it for today, guys. Appreciate y'all. If you want your trades on the show, you know how to do so. Link in the description below will be pinned if you want to check that out. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, and we'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.